Mayor Galvin? Mayor, we have a quorum.
All right. So pretty much this is, like I said, second reading, and oh yeah, we have to do Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, yeah. All right. A pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Order of business. What is this special meeting? What is the next? It says tab. Do we go straight into tab A? That's it? Huh? Okay, let's go.
Tab A. A resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, adopting a final millage rate of 7.5000 mils for fiscal year 2017 through 2018, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Whereas the city of North Miami, Florida city has considered an operating budget for fiscal year 2017 through 2018 in accordance with the provisions of section 200.065 Florida statutes as amended from time to time. And whereas the millage rate necessary to fund the city's operating budget for fiscal year 2017 through 2018 is 7.5000 mils, which is 6.29% more than the rollback rate of 7.0563 mils. And whereas in accordance with section 200.065 Florida statutes as amended from time to time, a majority vote of the mayor and city council is required to adopt a rate of up 7.5000 mils. And whereas the mayor and city council find that the adoption of the proposed final millage rate for fiscal year 2017 through 2018 is in the best interest of the city. Now, therefore, be it duly resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, Section 1, adoption of final millage rate. The mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida hereby adopt 7.5000 mils as the final millage rate on assessed property value necessary to fund the city's fiscal year 2017 through 2018 operating budget. Section 2, effective date. This resolution shall become effective immediately upon adoption, passed and adopted by a 5-0 vote of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, this blank day of 2017. That was tab A, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Now we have to open it to public hearing. Public hearing. Staff doesn't have anything to add. Public hearing is open on tab A, which is about us adapting the millage rate of 7.5 so that we can keep property taxes at a minimum in the city of North Miami. Public hearing is open. I see no one coming, so public hearing is still open.
Kennedy, 776 Northeast on the 25th Street. Mayor, I missed the last meeting, but there's a couple of things I just wanted to ensure that we got in the budget. One was from I Street, the cul-de-sac at the end of the street.
The budget is coming.
Oh, okay. Then let me keep my mouth shut.
Thank you. Public hearing is now closed. If there is any comment, questions on the dais, let us hear it now.
Mr.
Approve.
I'll
For
second.
discussion, no. Just open it for discussion on the dais. Mr. City Manager, at what point throughout the year we can come up with a budget amendment?
Based on the ordinance that you passed, you authorized me to come up with budget amendments anytime throughout the year, for
approval.
for approval.
Okay. Let's see, in the middle of the year, we feel like the residents need a break and we want to lower the millage rate.
You cannot. It's not allowed by.
Increase it, but I can lower.
No. Once you set it by, once you set the millage statutorily once a year. And remember, and then that gets passed off to the state and to the county to fulfill the assessments. So they will be we're actually rushing right now because they're gonna mail those, tax bills next week. So, we cannot reduce it in the middle of the year.
I remember last year not last year, I remember during the last budget, no, especially when we were talking about the bond, and people were complaining about the increase of the property taxes, and we were thinking about giving them a break in the millage. Let's see, even if we have to a quarter points, like in the millage, how much it will affect the budget
What's that?
in terms of number.
For every quarter you drop, it would be about 700,000 that we'd have to make up.
About 700,000. Do you have an idea on how many positions have been created in the budget this year? New position,
Positions.
the amount about.
There's 5 new positions prior to the first budget hearing, and then
We added
after the
one more.
first budget hearing, there was a couple added that was addressed.
What's the
in
couple
amendment.
added? What it is?
Assistant police chief.
No, last year we had 2.
No, but it was, one was.
No, if you said compared to last year we had
It's
2.
it's a net. So just the original 5, like what, the original 5?
The first position is a new
No,
coordinator.
how many?
Just how many?
Up
Oh, 5.
the-
5.
5, you create 5 new positions this year for a total of how much?
Approximately about 350,000, 400.
400,000. Between salary and
Benefits, cost to the employer.
about 400,000. Okay. And for Biscayne Landing, I think you budget about $300,000 for the
For the,
landfill.
for the third-party maintenance agreement.
Okay. That's 300,000. But at this time, we don't have anybody on the side.
No, that's being done internally.
Okay. What are the positions that you just created?
In mayor and council's office, there's a new coordinator. City manager's office, a management analyst.
You said a new coordinator, that's when you have 3 now.
Right. There was
But-
2 budgeted last year,
Mhm.
now there's 3 budgeted.
But the position been filled by someone from the museum.
That's correct.
It doesn't add up that much on the budget.
Yeah, because
From last year.
we hired them during
Yeah.
the current year, so it's not,
Yeah.
it's an existing body, but for budget
In terms of
comparison. it's
money
been-
wise.
Yeah,
Comparing the adopted budget from FY17 to the proposed
Mhm.
FY18.
The other
it's
4
considered
position.
new.
Okay. And I don't know if my colleagues will and share the same thing with me. Instead of creating 5 new positions and use the 300,000 for Biscayne Landing landfill, if we can cut by a quarter, by 25%, like instead of 7.5, bring it at 7.25, the Mildred, so the residents can save some money, since throughout the year we're talking about a capital improvement bond or a GOB bond, Mr. Mayor.
Let me make a quick remark. As far as the bond is concerned, and we all have the same concern, the exact same concern, about increasing in property taxes as a result of the bond, of course. But if we levy the bond, let's say the referendum passes, whenever the vote comes,
You,
that's gonna take like maybe, hold on, a couple of months, let's say 3, 4, 5 months before we make acquisition of the actual money after the vote. And even then, when will we start paying back?
you will not assess the citizens for that bond until a future budget year, because you have to do the assessment at the exact same time that we set the millage. So no one will be assessed any taxes
For this coming year,
for this year. It
even
won't
if we get
Even
money?
if you issue the debt, it would not be, there will be no assessment done, no collection to the citizens until we do next year's budget.
No, Mr. Mayor, I understand that, but, and in order for us to thinking about the bond, we need to see in how can we reduce the millage by about 6.9, 6.5, and for the residents not to feel because we do need those improvements. We do need affordable housing in the city, and I understand we need to redo some of our infrastructure, but at the same time, we understand the pain of the residents, and 7.5, and since we are gonna create 5 new positions, and that's gonna save the residents about $400,000 plus the 300 that was on the budget, reduce the millage by 7.25, and maybe next year, take out another half points to be where we wanna be when they're gonna start paying, and that money, I don't know if I can get a motion. I'm making the motion, if I can get a second and move on with the budget. That's my proposal.
There's already a motion on the floor. So, I'm not sure, I don't remember who made the motion, they'd have to.
The motion is not second yet.
Mr. Biename made the motion, I was seconding his motion.
Okay, so there's a motion
But
and a second.
my motion is not to decrease the millage rate unless
Right,
we have a much
so-
more substantive discussion before we get into all that.
Yeah.
So,
So, but he's making another motion now.
He's making a motion on top of.
I wanna second the
motion.
motion with a friendly amendment.
I thought you made the
Who
Who
motion.
made the
Huh?
motion?
You made the motion.
No, you said we have a motion on the floor. It was.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the city attorney for clarification, I remove any inclination of a motion
Okay.
or a second
Okay.
that may have been interpreted
Okay.
as we were moving forward. I thought this was a procedural, moving quick. I have no further comment until a motion is made and/or seconded.
Okay. This
Okay,
is my
well,
motion.
Councilman, again, I want to reemphasize the fact that there will not be any increase as a result of the bond on the property taxes until the following
Oh, we on-
budget year. So this,
I understand,
If that's-
Mr. Mayor,
yeah.
if we wanna pass on some of the benefits of the budget to the residents, and I understand that the administration, it's working very well in terms of the amount of employees that we have, and
Well,
if we think, mhm.
if you will allow me through the chairman. I understand exactly what you're doing, and obviously we serve at your will. Some of these positions that were added have been added through the year for other operating efficiencies. I would almost want to, I guess, ask your indulgence to cut something else for that portion of it. And then, as opposed to.
Do you have room to do that?
I'd have to look at, we can look at the 300 that you talked about, but keep in mind, we still are providing that service. So while it's an expense.
You are doing
that's
it
budgeted-
in-house.
Yeah, we're doing it in-house, so there is a cost associated with it. I'm trying to think, I think there's a little bit of room in contingency. Maybe, what about two?
what are these 5 positions?
Yeah, Can somebody just put, what are you all
Yeah.
talking about? Where is this coming
Yeah.
from? Like,
Yes.
I don't get what's going on right now.
What
I'm
are
talking-
the 5 positions?
I'm trying to quickly come up with,
The 5
here,
positions?
here, read 'em off. I don't know.
The money? All right.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, he's answering the
Some
5
of the
positions. Mhm.
A Parks and Recreation Coordinator, a new Code Director, and the last one was a new librarian, because we wanted to extend the hours at the library.
That's 3.
She's a librarian. and
The other
else?
two are already, they were already filled.
Which ones are those?
Right. That's right.
What are the other 3?
The other three are utility billing clerks,
Mhm.
which the enterprise pays for. The water and
Okay.
sewer pays for those.
Mhm.
That's when you got nothing to do, it's out
Joe.
of that, the list.
May I say something?
Remember, Councilman still has the floor, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I
but
don't mind
no,
if
but
you wanna add
Well,
something.
okay, so I want to say something. We got a memorandum, and we moved some stuff around, and you got $364,000 worth of additions. Maybe they were taken or not, but to me, there is nothing on that that is essential. You got 364,000 of fluff. You asked for a second assistant chief, we added another
I did not
133,000.
ask, I asked that we keep it.
Well,
we
keep
stay-
it, okay, so
yeah.
it's off, so that's back on.
It's
There's
nothing- it's not-
364,000 of fluff on here. We have so many items in our budget that are so padded, so not necessary. And we would be here all night going item by item, but I'm not willing to lessen services. And the only thing I can say about Biscayne Landing is I know that we have a match. So if we have to spend a certain amount and then they match it, was it 125, 150? So we have to keep at least 150,000 in Biscayne Landing so we can get that match from them towards the maintenance. So, I mean, if you wanna get rid of all this fluff that's on this memo, we can start there, but, it's gonna be a long night going item by item.
Mr. Mayor? Would you like-
But we don't know if, I think the first discussion before we go on the budget, we need to pass that. If it passed, that's when you're gonna go and find the money in the budget. If it fell, that's when we don't have to go line by line the budget.
The only reason why I made the alternative suggestion, Councilman, is because you made a very specific cut request, which,
Oh, no, okay, I
Okay.
can change that.
Okay. that was, so, that's why I was like, you said cut the 5
I see,
positions
I see,
and cut the
Understood.
300,000.
Okay, my question now, if we cut the millage by a quarter point, will you be able to balance your budget?
Again, give me 1 second, give me 1 second. We can, if you cut it a quarter point, we can absorb it in the, we can absorb the cut. A portion, half of the cut is coming from the city side, and because we would be reducing our assessment, the other portion will be coming from the CRA side. So we'd be reducing our CRA obligation by the other half. So we'd have to amend the CRA budget by 350,000.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to,
Sorry, did you want to ask a question first? or-
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we do that, then we're gonna have to go back tonight. It's gonna be a long night, to go back to, because what you said well, I mean, that 300,000, I don't want it, unless you could tell us that it'll be coming from something that would not be impacting this, because
That's what I'm saying. I can
Mhm.
do it without impacting any of the positions that we just talked about, or the item that, the
but we will
councilman
be
suggested.
impacting something within because what the mayor says, if if we don't have, if there won't be no impact, this year, then I would suggest that we look at that seriously next year as you are doing your budget, to say, well, this is where we want to be, and we'll tell the residents, this is where we would like to be. But because we have the library, these are programs and stuff that is essential, I think. And that would only be my
Councilman
suggestion.
Desume,
Yes, sir.
he didn't specify where the court is coming, that, no, he
You
didn't
say
talk
it's-
about
you
the
said the
library.
CRA?
No,
No, because in reducing the millage assessment, the amount that we calculate to give to the CRA, because we're reducing the millage, would be reduced on the CRA side. So that would account for half of the.
Or do you really want to do that?
Right, that's why I put it on the record.
Yeah.
If you reduce the millage, we have to reduce the CRA side because the assessment is less.
How do you reduce the CRA side?
Our obligation, the amount that we have to pay is reduced by
It's
the
gonna be
millage.
reduced,
It's
yeah.
generated by the millage.
Oh,
Oh, so, so it's a cause and effect. You can't
Yes.
get
Yeah.
both.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
They can wait next year.
Mr. Mayor, my motion is to reduce the millage by 7.25 and
To
pass it
7
on
and-
to the resident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mean two, you said by.
7.25.
Yeah, two.
True.
From 7.5 to 7.25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mayor, I have a motion made by Councilman Bieneme as stated on the record. Do I have a second to Councilman
What it
Bieneme's
is, can you
motion?
repeat it for me, please?
It's your motion, Councilman. You can, we didn't say I stated on the
Is
record.
to reduce the millage by 7.25.
Okay,
To
okay.
7.25, yeah.
Okay, so that motion that was just stated by Councilman Bieneme will be written
Can you
exactly
repeat
that
it?
way? No.
You're not
We're
gonna
gonna
get
type
paid.
it up and put it in the minutes. We're gonna, this is recorded. So do I have a motion? Do I have a second to Councilman Bieneme's motion?
The mayor second.
Motion fails for, motion fails for lack of second.
can we go back and be clear that the quarter of a point is going to lower our revenue by 700,000? And that's all coming from the CRA, what's going to,
No, half.
No.
and where's the
We
rest
have
of
to,
it?
we have to now go into this existing budget and cut $750,000 of projects. We do need to
A
go page
portion,
by page and
yeah,
come up
well,
with those cuts.
a portion of it is our obligation to the CRA. So that's an expense on the city side. So you'd be eliminating that expense. So that's half of the
But we'd also be
700.
eliminating revenue.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So that's, I mean, if we don't have the revenue.
It's on, but in our budget, the revenue and the expenditure is part of the
It's like
budget.
a tax write-off, it's still coming out of your money.
Essentially, yes.
So we're still,
I know we get confused because we operate on both
we're
sides.
gonna have less money, so we're gonna pay less money. It's a tax.
Correct,
but
correct.
That doesn't help us much. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the existing resolution for the millage rate.
No, I
to
have
be
a
at-
motion on the floor already.
It failed without.
Your motion has
haven't
failed.
dis-
So I have a
Huh?
motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab A. Do I have a second to his motion? I'm sorry, the Vice Mayor Galvin.
What's the motion?
To approve tab A.
As advertised for a millage rate of 7.5.
I second that.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Item passes with a 4-1 vote. Tab B. An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, adopting and approving the budget of the city of North Miami, Florida for fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2017 and ending September 30th, 2018, authorizing the amount to be raised by taxation for the operation of the city for the 2017-2018 fiscal year, authorizing the expenditure of funds established by the budget, authorizing a return on investment transfer from the Water and Sewer Utility Fund to the General Fund, authorizing the city manager to implement budget amendments, revenue and/or expenditure to appropriate or unappropriate funds as required during the fiscal year, and to amend the prior fiscal year budget to facilitate the year-end closing process, providing for repeal, severability, and an effective date. Whereas the budget of the city of North Miami, Florida City for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2017 and ending September 30th, 2018, attached hereto as Exhibit 1, was considered at public hearings held on October 3rd, 2017, and October 12th, 2017, as required by Chapter 200 Florida statutes, and whereas the mayor and city council wish to approve and adopt the budget of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2017, and ending September 30th, 2018, and to authorize that this amount be raised by taxation for the operation of the city for the 2017-2018 fiscal year. Now therefore be it ordained by mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, that Section 1, budget approved and adopted, the budget of the city of North Miami for the 2017-2018 fiscal year attached hereto as Exhibit 1 is hereby approved and adopted. Section 2, implement budget amendments. The city manager of the city of North Miami is hereby authorized to implement budget amendments, revenue, and/or expenditures to appropriate or unappropriate funds as required during the fiscal year, and to amend the prior fiscal year budget to facilitate the year-end closing process. Section 3, expenditure of funds appropriated in the authorized budget. Funds appropriated to the various departments in the budget may be expended by the directors of each department by and with the approval of the city manager in accordance with the provisions of the city charter and applicable ordinances. Expenditures of funds, including but not limited to enterprise funds, internal service funds, and expendable trust funds, under circumstances in which additional revenues are generated by user fees or charges to offset the cost of supplying a service to residents or other city departments, shall not be limited by estimated appropriations, but rather by actual revenue. And to that extent, the actual revenue received shall be deemed to be appropriated. Section 4, return on investment of water and sewer fund assets. The budget includes a transfer from the water and sewer operation and maintenance fund to the general fund, representing the return on investment that taxpayers would receive if the utility was sold. The transfer for the 2017-2018 fiscal year is calculated at 7.0% of fixed assets as of September 30th, 2016. This transfer may be made annually but not exceed 7.5% of the utility's net fixed assets. Section 5, checks. All checks on city bank accounts shall be signed by any member of the city council and the finance director. Section 6, amount of taxes. The approximate amount of $21,298,823.00 shall be the amount of gross taxes to be raised by the operating ad valorem tax levy authorized by resolution of the mayor and city council. Section 7, authority of manager. The city manager is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents and instruments, and to do so, and to do and cause to be done any and all acts and things necessary or proper for carrying out the transactions contemplated by this ordinance. Section 8, repeal. All ordinances on part or parts of ordinances in conflict or inconsistent are repealed. Section 9, severability. If any word, clause, phrase, sentence, paragraph, or section of this ordinance is held to be invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, such declaration of invalidity shall not affect any other word, clause, phrase, sentence, paragraph, or section of this ordinance. Section 10, effective date. This ordinance shall become effective immediately upon passage on second reading, passed and adopted by a 5-0 vote of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami on first reading this third day of October 2017, and passed and adopted by a blank vote of mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida on the second reading this blank date of blank 2017. That concludes tab B, Mayor.
Oh, sorry. Nothing from staff? Nothing?
Summary, the City of North Miami's second budget hearing is the final phase of a budget process that has guided staff on syncing the allocation of funds with the areas of priority set by the mayor and council. As a result of the feedback received from the budget hearing held on October 3rd, 2017, staff is recommending the following amendments to the fiscal year 2017-18 annual budget. The general fund amendments from first budget hearing. Assistant Police Chief, Educational Programming enhanced, Pepper Park Bathroom Rehabilitation, Social Services enhanced, Judson Park Rec Leader 2 implemented, Special Event Programming enhanced, Sister Cities Program enhanced, City Clerk Cell Allowance included, Civic Grant Duplication removed. The total impact's $364,575. The general fund amendments will be supported by contingency. The hiring of new public service aides and other administrative options will be implemented at no additional cost in order to address the mayor and council request for improved night patrol and safer parks. Lastly, 2 additional bus shelters will be allocated from the Transportation Capital Reserve. The recommendation, staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the FY 17-18 proposed budget with the above amendments.
Mr. Mayor, I have questions, whatever. Through you to staff, the general fund amendments supported by contingency, which of these items of the memo that you've given us, which of those are coming from the general fund contingency?
All of them.
Okay. The contingency is supposed to be there for emergent situations, you know, but
I'll explain it. So when, every year when we put the budget together, in addition to the statutorily required contingency, we typically keep a few dollars in the contingency, because as you all know, during the year, we get requests, things come up, so we tuck a little bit away in that area. So this is, we took it out of that little tuck away.
so when you mean contingency, you don't mean that $5 million
Not, we're not
contingency
touching,
that
we're
we
not
set
touching the
aside?
5 million.
Okay, that was my
That's,
question.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
good for the record, yes.
Thank you. And just in a general sense, I had a lot of money that we had budgeted last year for projects like a couple of parks cleanups and things like that. Does that money roll over
Is
for me this
all-
year?
All of your district funds that were not expended were rolled over into the new budget.
Okay. Am I losing out though by rolling over? I mean, for instance, if I didn't spend 50,000, does everybody else get
Oh
a
my
new
God.
50,000?
No,
Oh, no,
no.
I've got a lot of money.
Oh my
50,000 is
God.
the small side of what I did spend, because I won't call out the departments that I'm waiting on to get some costs. I'm not gonna call out those departments. But I wanna assure that not only is that money still available for those projects that I have been working on for a year, but I'm not putting myself, quote unquote, my district at a disadvantage with the new budget year, that everybody else is getting a new allotment that I'm not getting.
That is correct. You will not, it does not impact your current year's allocation. So we knew all of your projects were allocated from your previous allotment, so all of it rolls over. And all of your district discretionary funds are being treated exactly the same way. And that's how they've been treated for years.
All right,
I know Chief Each is gonna get up and speak about it, so it's gonna sort of shine a spotlight, but if that department can do anything to hop on it, I know we've had a storm, but that storm didn't start last year, it only started a month ago, so, if that department can hop on it and come up with some cost, estimates, I can go ahead and allocate toward other projects.
Me and that department have talked about
All right, let's
Thanks.
open up to the
Thank you,
public,
Mr.
and it's gonna come to us.
Sorry.
The public hearing on tab B, as in boy, is open. It's the budget. We had the meeting, when did, the third was the first hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, the first hearing was last week on the budget. We labored over it for, I believe, 3 or 4 hours. So now it's still your time to be heard. Go ahead.
Ellen Abramson, 2345 Magnolia Drive. I don't like being number 1 every time.
Always number 1, Ellen.
What?
Ellen, I'm just not gonna make a joke.
You can make a joke, Scott. All right, there was one thing that was mentioned, which is not on my thing here, about transferring money from the water and sewer fund to something else. And I haven't really read the budget, except for one part I'm very interested in. But I've lived here 46 years, and for 46 years, I've heard about the water plant, and nothing is ever done. So just passing that on. What is upsetting me here is I see police chief and assistant police chief. This city is growing. This city is not shrinking. This city is racially and ethically mixed with every kind of person we could imagine, and we are lucky to have this in our city. but we don't need to have a command staff that does not recognize that our city is racially and ethically mixed. I think it is disgraceful that we don't bring this out to the public and say we need to have, whether it's Haitian American, African American, Hispanics, we must have an Hispanic in the command staff, because a lot of the city now is Hispanic. And a lot of the city is Haitian and African American. We are a mixture, and our police department must demonstrate that at the highest levels. And I am astonished that you would even consider reducing the assistant chiefs by one. You don't take a corporation, Carol's shaking her head, you don't take a corporation that's growing and reduce the executive staff. So if you're looking at that, if anything, I would have said, especially with Solomia coming up, you might even want a third assistant chief of police to handle Solomia. So I think this is something that really needs to be taken into consideration, and I'm disappointed in what has happened in the city. And I do want to know about the water and sewer thing too. Thank you very much.
We have an assistant chief who happens to be Hispanic. Did you know that?
Yes, but I don't want to see it reduced.
Ah, okay, that's. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, and Mr. City Clerk. I missed you last time. You know, we still get over the last 6 seconds of last Saturday. On the police department, I read a lot about staffing this last week. They have a guideline called Rule of 60 Guidelines from the International City Manager Association. 60% of the total number of sworn officers should be in patrol functions, not patrol and detective. We lumping them both together and we calling them officers. 60%. And the staffing model that they said that you should have 50, for a size of a city like us, we should have 53 officers for SWAT and detective duties. That's for a city for 50,000 to 99,000. Right now we're at 62,310. If we go up with Solomia, you figure you have how many units out there? 4,010, 4,310, and you times it with 2.6. We're going to add easily 10,000 citizens to the city base. Then we're going to, like the manager is saying, we're going to go high density on some places. And we're going to add residents. We're looking at going up to almost 80, 85,000 really shortly. Look at North Miami Beach or neighbors to the north. And Ms. Garcia, she completed 2 towers, which used to be run runners. I know where I used to play. I used to go out for football games. She has 2 towers almost topped behind Dean Goal, which is good. They're getting rid of the strip joints. And they got one where the old Winn-Dixie is. And they got 2 more planned by Greenwich Park. So they're upscaling. And then she's lowering down their tax rate. Also, the International Association of Chief Police Chiefs and the Bureau of Justice stand up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
On the chief thing, on the thing.
No, I wish I could
Corgan-
give you more
yeah.
time, but I can't do
okay.
it because I would have to do it for every single person who comes forward. Go ahead. Sir.
Good afternoon, council. Good evening, council, mayor, council, staff. Just wanted to, my name is Fred Venerin. I'm the treasurer on the Chamber of Commerce. I sit on the executive board as well. I just want to express to you guys.
Within your physical address as well.
Okay, we're here on,
No, your personal address.
Oh, sorry, 901 South Park Road, Hollywood, Florida. I did want to express the change and shift in direction with the Chamber of Commerce. All of the information has been heard. All of the everything that we've done so far in terms of reducing staff expenses to make sure we can move forward and be pro-business in the city of North Miami is the direction that we're going to continue to move. And we want to, we really, really want to make known that we're not just supporting it's one specific area. It's going to be unanimous throughout North Miami. We want to work alongside with the city to make sure that we're doing that. We want to support the businesses. We will support the businesses, and everything that we're going to do we also want to run by the staff to make sure that we're doing it. It's important to note that we've already taken some action. We've reduced our leadership. We've changed, we put together a business plan that went from 2 pages that was almost an insult to what we've done before, almost to 15 to 20 pages that, again, was a collaborative effort and is reflective of the city and what they want to do moving forward from an economic standpoint. So please, again, take into consideration the changes that we've made and note that what we're doing is going to improve for the future. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor, through you to Fred. Fred, thank you for the time you're dedicating to the Chamber of Commerce. From my standpoint, it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125 Street. It seems to me that you're acting like you're playing with play money, not real money, play money. Governor Scott said, and the state approved, a 5% raise for state employees who hadn't had a raise in 10 years. And for employees who had over a $40,000 salary, they received a flat rate raise of $1,400. And if they made less than $40,000, they received a flat rate of $1,000 raise. It's unjustifiable to have a 26% increase in salaries. Salaries. Now, I don't know if I'm reading this chart correctly, and I don't know if this is an error on your part, but it says here 26%. I object to that. I notice on here, when it comes to neighborhood stabilization, which is so important, the city is faced with many lawsuits now because of problems it has in policing and otherwise, and attitude. You have zero. You haven't allowed it any more resources to that. That is a terrible misplaced judgment. And there for the police fund, you just have I don't know if that's $90,000 or $90, I don't know. But whatever it is inadequate. I would like to see you city officials being more responsible with the resources of the city. We started out being the most sovereign city in the whole state of Florida. And as you have your own audit report.
Ms. Alston, I did it to one, and I have to do it to you. I'm sorry.
The city budget's in the red right now. You have to do better.
I see no one coming, so public hearing is... Chief, why do you always do that?
Mayor, I thought other people were going to get up and talk, and I'm getting old and tired. But Mayor, first of all, council, Emerald Drive, last year it was supposed to be landscaped, a cul-de-sac. It hasn't been done since the 80s. It looks like hell.
Name and address.
Kenneth East, 776 Northeast 125th Street, although I do reside on Emerald Drive, and as a former police, I'm wasting time. Anyway, I want to see at least 15,000 to fix that cul-de-sac at the end of the street, especially after the hurricane came down and ripped up some of the concrete. We were supposed to have lights, new landscaping last year, never took place. Secondly, your motor pool. Looks like hell up there on 142nd Street. All I'm asking for, it's a motor pool, and that's the way it's supposed to look. There's trash, there's cars up there, debris. They do the best they can. It's not gonna look nice. It's like a construction site. Put the green screen in front of it. You got the now Audi dealership, you got the Lexus dealership, you got residential to the west of it, fix it up. Most importantly, when it comes to the city, I didn't see anything in here where the rubber meets the road. Folks, the city is dirty, plain dirty. You need people in Public Works, you need people in Parks Department to clean up the streets out there. My canal at the end of the street is filthy. You can't get it cleaned for years. 135th Street, can't get it cleaned for years. I walk down San Souci Boulevard. I see trash and garbage all over the place. They don't have the manpower to pick it up. I see abandoned telephones out there. I see newspaper racks out there. We need, instead of the staff, you need to have people where the rubber meets the road. Code enforcement's the best I ever seen it. You don't need a director. Keep it in the PD and add more code enforcement officers. They're writing more tickets now than they ever have. It's the best I've ever seen it in the 40 years I lived here. But the city is dirty, and when you have an article in the Biscayne Times last February, it's about code enforcement down in the shores, and this is a quote: "Although the rules are pretty hard on Miami shores, they protect us from looking like North Miami." I want to be proud of my city,
Okay.
so do you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Judy Brown, Northwest 128 Terrace, 1100. I'm coming, I was a little late, but I'm coming to talk about the solid waste treatment plant on 125th, right there by Sasso Pool. There's, I guess that, yeah, the lift station. Thank you. For some reason, the fan or whatever that's put in there to eliminate the odor from permeate, the neighborhood. Last year, that thing broke about 2 or 3 times. And it took a while for, they come in and they say, we're going to repair it, we're going to repair it and repair it. I would like to know if there's anything in the budget concerning that to eliminate that problem, because that's an ongoing problem. And, it seems like it's a Band-Aid effect. It's somebody go out and I guess throw maybe some chemicals and it stops, and then for a little while, it flares up again. I don't know if it needs to be replaced or what needs to be done to address that issue. But I would certainly like to, since we have so much money allocated for our entertainment, I would certainly wish that we would have some money allocated for this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing is not closed, but I don't want to create or start any rivalry between us and our neighboring cities. And Miami Shores happen to be a good friend of North Miami. We know the mayor very well, Mayor Burke. Biscayne Park, we've had our share of little fiction, but I think we're doing fine. So for somebody to write something like that on any magazine or paper is, I can call it trash. Because I think we're doing the best we can in the city of North Miami. We are a city on the move. And I sat with my director of CP&D, Community Planning and Development, along with Sam. I don't know Sam's title. And we were laboring over our next State of the City address. Believe me, we've accomplished a lot, Mr. Each. So, like I said, I don't go by what people write, because ideas are like anything. Everybody has one or two. People can write whatever they want about the city, but I think we can give ourselves a patting on the back. For the past few years, we've come a long way, I know, but we are doing fine. Wouldn't you guys say?
No, we've been.
Yeah.
Miami Shores.
Miami Shores is only 1/4 of the city of North Miami.
Not even one district. It's small.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I just want, I'm pretty good. We have some additions here, which I think are a little fluffy, but Chief Each, I actually agree with him this evening. Mr. Manager, we talked over the last few months about cleaning up the streets. There's a lot of trash in the streets, and especially in residential neighborhoods, certain places, people just throw stuff. The residents are not and should not have to be cleaning up a lot of the debris. When people are walking by, you've got a walkway on certain streets. Do we have that in our budget for Public Works to be out there cleaning? Do we have enough staff for that?
Yeah, the clean team. It's there.
Okay, because I want to make sure people are going out and cleaning up our streets.
Okay.
Including, we used to, and I was noticing this, just the leaves. I know we had the hurricane, but even before the hurricane, a lot of leaves and stuff in the street. And it's not that people are going to do it. We do have people who are out there with their, in my neighbor, Keystone, you see the people with their blowers and they're blowing all the leaves back out in the streets. We used to have a machine that came and cleaned. Do we still have that machine?
We still have the sweep, the street sweeper.
Is it being used?
Yeah, well, actually, we just sent it out to, by Griffin, was that 2
Okay.
days ago, so it's out.
Okay. Thank you.
Maybe we can put it on a schedule.
Yes, what,
So
so,
we don't do it as needed, just put it on the regular schedule, once a week, twice
Yeah.
a week, whatever.
that particular sweep was because they had gone and cleaned up the debris, and there was still like the remnants, so we, around the area, so we cleaned it. But the street team that we, will be able to deploy them and help do some of that individual cleaning,
All right.
more detailed cleaning.
Who's next? No one?
I have no questions in addition to.
Neither do I.
Councilman Bien-Aimé?
A move approval of the ordinance?
Second.
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Galvin to approve tab B. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys.
Including the memorandum.
That's incorporated in the ordinance that I read, right? Yeah, it's already incorporated in the ordinance that I read into the record. So, roll call vote, Councilwoman Keys,
Yes.
Councilman Bien-Aimé,
No.
Councilman Desume,
Yes.
Mayor Joseph.
See?
You know, I'm gonna translate that to a yes. And Vice Mayor Galvin,
We.
I'm gonna translate that to a yes. Item passes with a 4-1 vote. Tab C. A resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the North Miami Community Development Agency fiscal year 2017 through 2018 budget, authorizing the city manager to transmit the CRA fiscal year 2017-2018 budget to Miami-Dade County, authorizing the city manager to take all action necessary to complete the approval process for the CRA fiscal year 2017 through 2018 budget with Miami-Dade County and providing for an effective date. Whereas the interlocal cooperation agreement, the agreement between the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency, the CRA, the City of North Miami, the city, and Miami-Dade County, the county, requires, among other things, the CRA to annually adopt and transmit a budget and annual report to the city and county for review and approval for the City Council and Board of County Commissioners, the BCC, respectively, and whereas the agreement also requires that the annual budget for the CRA be adopted by the CRA and the city prior to review and approval by the BCC, and whereas the CRA fiscal year 2017 through 2018 budget is attached as Exhibit A, and whereas all the expenses included in the CRA fiscal year 2017 through 2018 budget are in accordance with state law, interlocal agreements, including the agreement and the CRA redevelopment plan, and whereas the CRA previously approved the CRA fiscal year 2017-2018 budget, and whereas the mayor and city council desire to approve the CRA fiscal year 2017-2018 budget, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, Section 1, the recitals in the, I'm sorry, Alex, I was hearing you, my bad. The recitals in the whereas clauses are true and correct and incorporated into this resolution. Section 2, the CRA fiscal year 2017 to 2018 budget attached as Exhibit A is hereby approved and adopted. Section 3, the city manager is hereby authorized to transmit the CRA fiscal year 2017 to 2018 budget to the county for review and approval. Section 4, the city manager is hereby authorized to take all action necessary to complete the approval process for the CRA fiscal year 2017 to 2018 budget with the county. And Section 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon approval. Passed and adopted by a blank vote of the mayor and city council, the city of North Miami, Florida, this blank day of September 27.
Thank you very much. We should have more of these items for you to read. It's like being in elementary school, right? Yeah.
Through the mayor, as
Before
read,
you go, we just learned the sad news of the passing of the son of a state representative, Mr. Hardeman. Grandson?
Yeah.
Mr. Hardeman's grandson passed away.
But he's
Well,
shot and killed on Sunday, October 8th.
That was a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Sunday. So we just wanted to take
Yes,
take a
he
few
is.
moments to actually he covers North Miami. It's one of his cities that he represents at the level of the state. So our hearts are out to him and his family.
Thank you, Mayor. As stated in the whereas clauses, you all sat as the CRA board on Tuesday night, reviewed and adopted this CRA budget. Just for the purpose of the record, the CRA budget is expected to be revenues at $8,742,942. We are, and the corresponding expenditures to have a balanced budget. We are in compliance with all of the requirements set forth in the interlocal and the county ordinance with regards to CRA oversight, maintenance of our administrative costs below the 4% mark, as well as the housing minimum 10% allocation. So I'll ask that you adopt the budget as presented.
All right, the item is now open to the public. For anyone who wishes to be heard, that's on the CRA budget that was passed on our last meeting. Customarily, we have to also we bring it here to the regular council meeting so more people can become aware and ask questions as they see fit. Ms. Alston?
Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125 Street in Sunkist Grove. I would just like to state for the record that there was no publication of the budget. I was here for the meeting on Tuesday. There was no item by item listing of the CRA budget. There's no attachment in this, what's being voted on now. There's no attachment of this budget and the things that the council is voting on now. There's no attachment. So this is a blind. This is being done purely blindfolded. I want to state emphatically that myself and most people in Sunkist Grove are in opposition to any funding, CRA or otherwise, being used for making a Chinatown in the city of North Miami on Northwest 7th Avenue in Sunkist Grove. We are opposed to it, and you have in no way demonstrated that in these documents. So you're doing this completely blindfolded, and I feel it's improper.
Anybody has a copy of the agenda for the CRA meeting?
The agenda. It's not
The
here.
CRA meeting?
I had the agenda for the CRA meeting. It's not there. It wasn't there. I was here. It wasn't there. Tell the truth and be honest.
Mayor,
No. We have public that wants to.
Mayor, I recommend putting on the record that notice was properly given, just in case.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, publication of the budget. The notice was given, but there was no publication of the budget.
Go ahead.
All legal requirements were met for notice, Mayor.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Jim Garrett, 11610 North Bayshore Drive. The medicine is taking effect on me now. This is my mom's tax bill for 2016, $4,200. It's about now $98, and we're going to get the next one. And the CRA is involved in that. My question is, can we move some funds from the CRA to restore the 2 assistant police chiefs that we just got rid of in tab B? Can we do that? Number two, how much money are we spending on food out of the CRA for the festivals, for the special events, for the luncheons, the dinners, the banquets? And I want to say, Mayor Frank Rowe and I started that back in '99 in the election because we fed half of North Miami back then, and we bought it on here. So I'm kind of the father of that. The other thing is, we got a big item coming up. And this is this accreditation report. We need to spend money, I don't know where, but we need to get someone in here and prepare us up before the accreditation visit and do a mock accreditation, because we had 7 citations, and some of them are silly. Have you read the 14-page report? I have. That's my say. I think that we need to use the funds wisely, and we need to adopt a system like Coral Gables. Look at this Coral Gables budget, and I'll be glad to share it with you if you want to call me at 302-740-6442. I'll be glad to share it with you. I want to see the city do better. I want us to be #1, not share the honor with NMB or with Miami Shores. Right, Scott? Remember when we used to beat NMB in football every year for 4 years? This city used to be better than North NMB and Miami Shores. Now we're below that. Thank you.
Just for historical record, the Pioneer football team just beat North Miami Beach last weekend by 35-7 score. So
the Redskins,
Chargers.
The Redskins beat them.
He's confusing them
The
with
North
the
Miami
World
Redskins.
State.
Go ahead, Mr. Each.
Kenneth Each, 776 125th Street. Mayor, council, the CRA's come a long, long way, and it's the best I've ever seen it. They're doing a good job out there. They turned this thing around, and it's really starting to kick off. I've never seen in the budget, just to address the issue there, I've never seen anything in there for food, banquets, anything like that. So we've been putting money to help businesses clean up the city and projects. And yes, we can do more. Hopefully, when we get our tax bases going, maybe we can get more money into the CRA and really make it jump off. But this is the best I ever seen it, thanks to Roger and Terry and the city manager. Thank you.
Our CRA is at its best right now. You should have talked about the CRA 5 years ago, not now. Everybody, even in the county, they are praising us. Okay, for what we've been doing. We started like about a couple of years ago when we started, and Scott can attest to that too. Because when we started and when I first came in, and we looked at the CRA and what was not being done, not what was being done, what was not being done. Okay?
What was being done?
Okay, so count your blessings. Comptez les bienfaits de Dieu.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move approval on the ordinance.
Hey, just a quick question. Can you remind the audience, by passing the budget, we did not eliminate any assistant chief of police. We keep it the same. Can you
I'll put that
say
on
that
the
again?
I'll say it again. We did not eliminate any assistant chief positions in the budget.
That we
the
just
ones that
passed.
were there were already funded.
All right, there is a motion to approve tab C. Can I second it?
We have 2.
I have a motion made by. I have a
You
motion.
need 3.
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Galvin to approve tab C. The motion was seconded by Mayor Smith Joseph. All in favor? All opposed?
It's ordinance. Roll call.
It's a resolution.
No, this one is not
Sorry.
ordinance. Now we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Thank you very much.
Thank you.